The rain hammered against the windows of our Chicago apartment, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For years, Alaric, a 43-year-old software engineer, thought I had it all. A loving wife, a comfortable life, and a future stretching out before me like a sunlit highway. My wife, Bronte, was a vibrant, ambitious lawyer, and we were, or so I believed, the perfect team. But lately, things had been off. Bronte had become distant, her laughter less frequent, her eyes holding a shadow I couldn't decipher. It started subtly. Late nights at the office, business trips that seemed to pop up out of nowhere, and a guardedness around her phone that was completely out of character. I tried to brush it off, attributing it to the pressures of her demanding career. I told myself I was being paranoid, that my love for Bronte was blinding me to reality. But the unease persisted, a nagging voice whispering doubts in the back of my mind. One Tuesday, Bronte told me she had to fly to New York for a last-minute deposition. "It's a big case, Alaric," she said, her voice tight. "I need to be there." I offered to drive her to the airport, but she declined, saying a colleague was giving her a ride. I kissed her goodbye, a quick peck on the cheek, and watched her walk out the door, a knot tightening in my stomach. That evening I found myself restless and unable to focus on work. The apartment felt empty and cold without Bronte's presence. I tried calling her, but her phone went straight to voicemail. "She's probably just busy," I told myself, forcing down the rising panic. But the seed of suspicion had been planted, and it was beginning to take root. Later that night, unable to sleep, I decided to surprise Bronte by cleaning up her home office. It was usually a chaotic mess of legal documents and half-empty coffee cups, and I thought she'd appreciate the gesture. As I was sorting through a pile of papers, I stumbled upon a small, velvet box hidden beneath a stack of files. My heart pounded in my chest as I opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of satin, was a diamond necklace, exquisite and undeniably expensive. It was nothing like the jewelry Bronte usually wore, and I knew with a sickening certainty that I hadn't bought it for her. The blood drained from my face. Who had given her this? Why was she hiding it? The questions swirled in my mind like a vortex, pulling me down into a dark abyss of doubt and fear. I grabbed my phone and frantically scrolled through Bronte's recent calls and messages. Nothing. She had cleared everything. But then I remembered something. A few weeks ago, I had installed a hidden camera in our living room, a misguided attempt to catch our cat, Jasper, doing something funny. I had completely forgotten about it. With trembling hands, I accessed the camera's footage on my laptop. I fast-forwarded to the day Bronte had supposedly left for New York, and then I saw it. Bronte, not in a business suit but in a slinky black dress, leaving the apartment with a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, handsome, with a confident swagger about him. They kissed passionately before getting into a taxi. The date in the video was today. I watched the scene unfold, my heart shattering into a million pieces. It was like an out-of-body experience, as if I was watching a movie about someone else's life. But the crushing pain in my chest, the burning tears in my eyes were all too real. My Bronte, the woman I had loved and trusted with all my heart, was cheating on me. I reeled from the shock, unable to process what I had just witnessed. The world seemed to spin around me, the walls closing in, the air thick and suffocating. I stumbled to the couch and collapsed, burying my face in my hands, sobbing uncontrollably. The pain was unbearable, a raw, agonizing ache that ripped through my soul. I spent the rest of the night in a daze, replaying the video over and over again, each viewing twisting the knife deeper into my heart. I couldn't understand how Bronte could do this to me, how she could betray our vows, our love, our life together. I had always been a good husband, supportive, loving, and devoted. What had I done to deserve this? As the first rays of dawn crept through the blinds, I knew I couldn't stay in that apartment any longer. It was tainted, poisoned by Bronte's betrayal. I packed a bag with a few essentials, grabbed my laptop, and walked out the door, leaving everything else behind. I drove aimlessly for hours, the rain still falling, the sky a bleak, depressing gray. I ended up at a small, secluded cabin in the Wisconsin Dells, a place Bronte and I had visited years ago. It was a place of happy memories, but now even those memories were tainted by her infidelity. I spent the next few days in a state of numb disbelief, barely eating, barely sleeping. I replayed every moment of our relationship in my mind, searching for clues, for signs that I had missed. Was our love a lie? Had Bronte ever truly loved me? Finally, after days of agonizing introspection, I knew I couldn't let Bronte's betrayal destroy me. I had to find a way to move on, to rebuild my life, to reclaim my happiness. But first I needed answers. I needed to confront Bronte and understand why she had done this. I called her. She answered on the third ring, her voice sounding tired and strained. "Alaric, where are you? I've been worried sick." "I know about New York, Bronte," I said, my voice cold and steady. "I saw the video." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then Bronte's voice, barely a whisper. "Alaric, don't lie to me, Bronte," I interrupted. "Just tell me the truth. Who was he? How long has this been going on?" Bronte hesitated for a moment, then confessed everything. The man in the video was Caspian, a partner at her law firm. They had been having an affair for 6 months. She claimed it had started as a harmless flirtation, but it had quickly escalated into something more. "I'm so sorry, Alaric," she sobbed. "I never meant to hurt you." "I still love you, love me," I scoffed. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have betrayed me like this. You wouldn't have lied to me, cheated on me, and broken my heart." I hung up the phone, the pain in my chest even more intense than before. Her words, her excuses meant nothing to me. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I decided to hire a private investigator to dig deeper into Bronte's affair. I needed to know the full extent of her betrayal, even if it meant uncovering more painful truths. The investigator, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Isolde, quickly uncovered a web of lies and deceit. It turned out that Caspian wasn't just a partner at Bronte's firm. He was also married, and Bronte knew about it. She had been carrying on an affair with a married man, fully aware of the pain and destruction it would cause. But that wasn't the worst of it. Isolde also discovered that Bronte and Caspian had been planning to leave their spouses and start a new life together. They had even been discussing selling our apartment and splitting the profits. Bronte had been systematically emptying our joint bank account, transferring the money to a secret account in her name. I was stunned. Bronte wasn't just cheating on me. She was stealing from me, planning to abandon me and run off with her lover. The depth of her betrayal was staggering, beyond anything I could have imagined. Rage consumed me, a white-hot fury that burned through every fiber of my being. I wanted to lash out, to scream, to destroy everything in my path, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. I needed to channel my anger into something productive, something that would make Bronte and Caspian pay for what they had done. I started by contacting a divorce lawyer, a ruthless, experienced attorney named Thuron. I told him everything, showing him the video, the bank statements, and Isolde's report. Thuron assured me that I had a strong case and that we would get Bronte for everything she was worth. Next, I contacted Caspian's wife, Guinevere. I knew it was a risky move, but I felt that she deserved to know the truth. I met her at a coffee shop, showed her the evidence, and watched as her face crumpled in disbelief and pain. She was devastated but also grateful for the information. She vowed to divorce Caspian and make him pay for his infidelity. With Thuron and Guinevere on my side, I began to formulate a plan. I wanted to expose Bronte and Caspian's affair, not just to their families and friends, but to the entire legal community. I wanted to ruin their reputations, destroy their careers, and leave them with nothing. I started by leaking the video of Bronte and Caspian to a popular legal blog. The story quickly went viral, sparking outrage and condemnation. Bronte and Caspian were immediately suspended from their firm, their careers hanging by a thread. Next, I filed a lawsuit against Bronte, accusing her of adultery, fraud, and theft. The lawsuit was a public record, and the media seized on it, publishing every detail of Bronte's betrayal. She became a pariah, shunned by her colleagues and friends. Caspian didn't fare much better. Guinevere filed for divorce, demanding full custody of their children and a significant portion of his assets. His reputation was ruined, and he was unable to find another job. Bronte and Caspian's affair had not only destroyed their marriages but also their lives. They had lost everything: their careers, their reputations, their families, and their money. As for me, I was finally able to move on. The divorce was finalized, and I received a substantial settlement from Bronte. I used the money to start my own software company, which quickly became a success. I never spoke to Bronte again. I didn't want to. She was a chapter in my life that I wanted to forget. I had learned a valuable lesson. That love can be blind, that betrayal can come from the most unexpected places, and that revenge, while not always the answer, can sometimes be a necessary form of justice. Years later, I met someone new, a kind, compassionate woman named Igraine who loved me for who I was. We built a life together, filled with love, trust, and happiness. I had finally found peace, and I knew that Bronte's betrayal would no longer haunt me. The rain has stopped and the sun is shining through the clouds. The storm inside me has passed. I am Alaric and I am a survivor, but the story doesn't end there. Karma, it seemed, had another card to play. A few years after my divorce from Bronte, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Guinevere, Caspian's ex-wife. Her voice was laced with a mixture of bitterness and satisfaction. "Alaric," she said, "I thought you should know. Bronte and Caspian, they're finished." I was surprised. After all they had put everyone through, I had assumed they would at least find some solace in each other. "What happened?" I asked, a morbid curiosity piquing my interest. Guinevere chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "It seems their grand plan for a life together crumbled under the weight of their own selfishness. They started fighting almost immediately after their affair was exposed, blaming each other, accusing each other of ruining their lives." She went on to tell me that Bronte and Caspian had tried to start a law practice together, but their tarnished reputations made it impossible to attract clients. They were constantly short on money, and their resentment towards each other grew with each passing day. "Caspian eventually left her," Guinevere said. "Ran off with some younger woman he met at a bar. Bronte was devastated. She tried to get him back, but he wouldn't have anything to do with her." I felt a pang of something that might have been pity, but it quickly dissipated. Bronte had made her choices, and she was now living with the consequences. "Bronte's life has spiraled out of control," Guinevere continued. "She's lost her law license, she's struggling with alcohol, and she's completely alone. No family, no friends, no one." I listened in silence, absorbing the information. It was a grim picture, a stark reminder of the destructive power of betrayal and deceit. "I just thought you should know," Guinevere said again. "They got what they deserved, both of them." I thanked Guinevere for the call and hung up the phone. I sat there for a long time, reflecting on everything that had happened. Bronte and Caspian's affair had caused me immense pain, but it had also led me to a better life, a life filled with genuine love and happiness. I realized that I no longer felt any anger or resentment towards Bronte. I had forgiven her, not for her sake, but for my own. I couldn't let her betrayal continue to poison my life. I had to let go of the past and embrace the future. I stood up, walked over to the window, and looked out at the clear blue sky. The sun was shining brightly and the world was full of possibilities. I smiled, knowing that I had finally found true peace, and so my story comes to an end. A story of love, betrayal, revenge, and ultimately, forgiveness. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter future. Never let someone else's actions define you. Never let bitterness consume you. Choose love, choose forgiveness, and choose to live your life to the fullest. I am Alaric and I have found my peace. I hope you find yours too.